So finally, I'm going to be showing you how to create a cool scroll animation using GSAP. Now I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this from my last GSAP video where I asked you guys for 50 likes and we absolutely crushed it. So here is the tutorial. Now for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about and haven't seen my last GSAP video, I'll go ahead and link it down in the description, but this is what we're going to be creating. Now as you can see, whenever I start to scroll, this K will zoom in. And then we'll have this text also fade in as well, one by one. And it's just a really cool animation. So please be aware that this is a little bit experimental using GSAP on your Elementor website. It can be a little bit laggy sometimes. And that is expected when you have extra scripts running. So I just wanted to mention that there in case you're having some issues. So just keep that in mind. So I hope you guys end up enjoying this tutorial. It is a little bit of a long one, but it's definitely going to be worth it. And it's just something really cool that we can do with GSAP. And it really opens your eyes as to what we're able to do with GSAP scroll animations. So if you guys end up enjoying this video, make sure to like it for the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any of my video. Now, if you're interested in any of my courses, I do have them down in the description. That definitely always helps the channel and me. I wouldn't recommend to have this on a site that's already slow, just because this can potentially slow down your website a little more. Just so then you guys know, because I know that that is very important. So anyway, I hope you guys end up enjoying this video. So let's begin. Now you guys are really gonna love this one, and hopefully this video isn't too long. So go ahead and open up your Elementor editor. Now I've already created my header, and I ended up just using an Elementor Pro template. And let me go ahead and show you guys which template I'm using. So if I go over to pages, and let me just go into probably just type in header. Honestly, I'm probably gonna have to go into blocks. So let's see if they have it in here, and I can just show you guys. Yep. So I ended up using this one here, and I just made it into a sticky header, but we can go over that later on. So just so then you guys know, but you guys can use pretty much any header. I just wanted to have that as an example because it's just a scenario that you're probably going to go through. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just hide my title here. There we go. Now add a section, make it into 2 columns, click on your section and go into height, set that to a fit to screen. Now we could do a minimum height of 100 VH, but I'm going to do fit to screen. And then that is all set up there. We can add a no gap to this, that's fine. And then we want to go ahead and set our width to 1380. And then what we can do is we can leave our columns the same size right now, but we can maybe adjust the width later on. So before we start adding our text in here into our columns, let's add our background. So click on your section, go into style, and then background type. We're going to go ahead and use an image. And I've already uploaded my image, but I will provide this down in the description. I believe I got this from Pexels, so it's a free stock image that you guys can use. And then click insert media. And then from here, set it to cover. There we go. And that should be good. And let's add a background overlay. Just make it a little bit dark. So go into your background overlay, set your color to black, and then we can set our opacity, and let's set it to maybe we might adjust this later on depending on how it looks with our text. So let's do 0.35 for now. So before we add our text into our columns, I'm going to actually add some more content here at the bottom, and I'm just going to use a template from Elementor Pro. So I'm going to go into my template library, I'm going to go into pages, and I'm going to choose this one here. So it's a photographer gallery page. I'm going to click insert, I'm going to click yes. And I just want it so we can scroll down here, so we have some scrolling space to scroll, and we can really see how our animation is going to look. Okay, and And you know what, just for this purpose, we're going to be using the same font that this template is using here. So, and I believe it's using Inter. So let's add our text now. So drag over your heading. And let's call this awesome headline. Go into style. Set our color to white. And then let's do Enter. There we go. So let's do a viewport width for the sizing. Let's set this to 3. And our weight is going to be set up to 300. And that looks great. So now go back to your elements and let's add a text editor, a paragraph basically. Go into your style, set this to white, open up your typography. We're gonna go ahead and do Enter. I don't think I did Enter for my awesome headline, but I'm gonna double check. Maybe I did actually. So set our size to pixels, that's fine. And then add 22 pixels. And our weight is going to be 300. Looks good. Just double check that here. Okay, so I did use Enter for that. Now, of course, I could have set up my default typography, but I'm just not doing it for this video. But it's something that I recommend whenever you're first creating your website. So now, I'm going to actually add some more text here. So I want to add some more lorem ipsum. So I'm actually going to copy this lorem ipsum that I have here. Now you can just look up any lorem ipsum generator if you want, but I'm just going to use this for now. All right, so let's go ahead and add our button. So drag our button right under our paragraph. And not really going to name this anything, to be honest. I'm just going to call it click here is fine. So let's go into style. Click on typography. And we're going to be using Enter. And let's do 14. For the size, it's going to be set to pixels. And our weight is going to be set up to 400. And that should be it there. And let's set up our color to white. And our text is going to be set up to black. There we go. I don't want a border radius on this. And then our padding, first add 20. And then let's go ahead and unselect this. And from each side, we're going to do 40. And from the right, 40 as well. There we go. So make sure that you have something like this going. And then we can go ahead and shift this maybe a little more if we wanted to, or shift this more this way actually, so we can give it some more spacing. That's fine. And there we go. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Alrighty, there we have it. Perfect. That looks really clean. Now, while we're here, I'm going to mobile optimize this. So go into your responsive settings and let's start off on tablet. And you know what? I'm actually going to go into my section, go into advanced, and this is just a preference of mine. I'm going to set a 20 pixels on each side, just so then whenever it shrinks down, you see we always have that spacing. I just do that all the time, just to make the websites more responsive. And we don't have our text or whatever that may be right next to the edge. So now let's go back into tablet and you see how it's automatically going to add that space on each side. So that's perfect. And then maybe we could just align this a little more. So we can do 30 and then do 70. If that's something that we wanted to do. Okay. So now let's go into mobile. And go into your section. And let's go ahead and add some padding to this. And of course, we need to adjust our text, as you can tell. So I usually like to do on mobile 50 from the top and 50 from the bottom. And then on each side, we can maybe do 20, just like how we had before. That's fine. So now let's go ahead and adjust our headline here. Click on your headline, go into the typography, and make sure that we set up to pixels. Usually on mobile, I like to do pixels instead. So let's set this up to 38. And then add a line height to this. Let's move this to the middle. And the reason why I'm going to move this to the middle, I usually don't do this, but since I kind of want to go with the website style that we have with this template, so I'm just going to end up doing that. And maybe I'm going to adjust my line height to this. So they're using a line height of 1 EM. So I'm probably going to just do the same here and just set this to 1. That's fine. Just so then it goes with the website. And then what we can do is even use the same sizing for the paragraph. So they're doing 16. So then we can set this up to 16 as well. I know that it is kind of small, but that's what we're going to use for now. Just so then we go with the same stylizing. And then let's set our button to the middle, to the center. There we go. All right, so now that's looking good. So now that's mobile optimized and it's perfect. So let's go back to our desktop. And let's just save this just in case. All right. So now what we need to do is add a section. That's pretty much going to be the section that's going to cover this one here. And that's going to be what we're going to be zooming out from. So go ahead and add a section right below our main section here. And it just doesn't really matter the columns, but probably just have it set to 1. Because we're not really going to be using any columns anyway. So make sure that you're on your section. And then set this up to no gap. And then our height is going to be fit to screen. Now, we will probably change that up later on depending on our header, and you'll probably see why. But for right now, we're going to set this up to fit to screen. And then everything else is already set, so that's fine. So click on your section, make sure you're on your section, go into advanced, and then we're going to add some custom CSS to this. So type in selector. Now I will have this down in the description so you guys can just copy it anyway. So selector, or you guys can just type it out and follow along, which I would highly suggest, so then you can learn some CSS. So selector position is going to be set to absolute, and that's just so then it's not stacked under this section here. So we can set it basically wherever we want on the website. So now our top position is going to be set to 0 because we want it at the top. And add a semicolon there. And then add left. We're going to also set this to 0. Isn't really that necessary because it's already set to the left side anyway, but we're going to add it there anyway. Now, currently, as you can tell, we don't have this set to full width for some reason. It's not taking up the entire space of this section, which is what we would want. So basically, we would just have to add a width of 100%. And there we go. Now, currently, we don't have an image background set on this, so that's what we need to do next. So now go into style and then go into your background, and this is where we're going to set our background. So I've already created my image here that we're going to be using, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to create this on Adobe XD, but you can use Figma. It's pretty much the same process, just for those of you that don't have Adobe XD. And I'm going to provide this down in the description anyway for those of you that don't have Adobe XD and don't know how to use Figma. So let's go ahead and insert media. And there we have it. we're gonna set this to the center, and then go ahead and set your size to cover. And that should be good to go there. Now, before I show you guys how to create this image here, let's go ahead and name our sections, because I feel like that's really important. So we're gonna call the first one that we have right under this section here, we're gonna call this content scroll. And then the one that we have above it right here is going to be called overlay zoom. And the reason why I like to do this is just so that I know which one's which. And I can go ahead and hide this whenever I need to edit this section here. So that's why that's pretty important. Okay, so now we're going to hop over to Adobe XD, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to create this image here. So now we're on Adobe XD. So let's go ahead and set up our board here. And let's set this up to 1920. I believe it's right here. Let me actually scroll down, and it's going to be web and desktop. We're going to do 1920 by 1080. So go ahead and add a rectangle and make sure that it fills your entire board, just like this. If you need to adjust it, then you can adjust it. And remove the border. Let's make it black for now. And let's make our board color red, just so then whenever we do the cutout, we know that it worked. So grab your text. And I've already set this to Spartan, so that's what you want to set it up to, but let me add my text first. So, okay, that's the one that we're going to be using. And then, you know what? Make sure that it's capitalized, actually. So go ahead and grab Spartan. Now, if you don't have Spartan installed on your computer, but you might already have it by default, go to Google Fonts and just download it and activate it. And our weight is going to be bold, actually. So set that to bold for your weight. And then our sizing is going to be set to 220. And you know what? Let's make sure that we highlight this, and let's do 220. There we go. And now let's set this to the middle, but as you can tell, we have this spacing. That's probably going to be a little bit an issue. So let's go ahead and click on this here and just splice it a little bit. There we go. And then let's set this to the middle. Perfect. So now that we have it set to the middle, we can remove this splicing. Now go ahead and select your rectangle and select your text as well. Clicking Shift, or what you can do is just click on your mouse and then hold it and then highlight all of this until you reach your rectangle and your text. So then we can highlight everything, and now we have both our rectangle and text selected. So then from here, go ahead and click on this one here to subtract the second one. And as you can tell, now we went ahead and spliced through it. So that's perfect. And let's change our background color for our rectangle there. Set that to white. And there we go. Now we just need to export this. So make sure you click on only your rectangle here that we have, not our board, because we don't want to export the red as well. So just click on your rectangle that we have here, and then go into File and click Export Selected. And then we're going to go ahead and call this cutout BG for background color. That's fine. And set that to the desktop so then we can upload it, and then click Export. Now if we go back here and we upload it, there we go. So we have about the same size. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one that I uploaded earlier just as a test. All right. And now we're not going to be using this one anymore, so we can just go ahead and delete it, but I'm going to leave it there for now. But this is the main one that you're going to have, and this is the one that I'm going to have provided down in the description. So let's go back into our home and let's make sure we update this and then refresh it. And we're going to add our other one just so that we have the same size and everything. So now click on your overlay zoom, go into style, And let's change this image. Let's use this one here. And there we go. So that's about the same. Now we're going to go ahead and add some CSS that we need to add. So go into your page settings, go into advanced, and on the body, go ahead and add your body text. And then within these curly brackets here, we're going to do an overflow of X set to hidden. That's perfect. And then now let's go ahead and edit our text here. We're going to add some classes. So go into advanced for your headline. So for your classes, go ahead and add a scroll dash headline. And then for your description, click on your description, go into advanced, and on your CSS class, and add a class of scroll dash des for description. And then let's go into our button and go into advanced and add a scroll dash button. All right, perfect. So now we want to go ahead and change up the opacity on these. So whenever we scroll, we have them show up. So, and it's pretty easy. We're going to basically set this to invisible for now. Go into settings and then go into advanced. So that from here, we're going to target all three of them. So we're going to do dot, I think it was called scroll headline dash headline. I'll double check that right now. And then we're going to do a comma. We're going to do dot scroll dash description, or des for description, and we're going to do a comma, and we're going to do dot scroll button, and we're going to add some curly brackets in here. And let me just make sure that I did call this one correctly. Yes, okay, it looks like it's good. Scroll headline. All right, perfect. And then we're just going to set the opacity to 0. Now, the thing about this scroll is that unfortunately, it's not going to work on mobile. I mean, it will probably work on mobile, but the responsiveness is kind of bad. So just for this purpose, I'm not going to have this work on mobile. So I'm actually going to set a media query here. And mobile, I mean as mobile and tablet. So it's basically only going to work for desktop. So let's do an @ symbol, and then let's do media. And then within these brackets here, let's add, it's going to be a min width. So basically the minimum width that we want this to work is going to be, I believe, 10, let's see here. Sorry, let me just double check this here. 1024. So 1024. Basically anything above 1024, this style is going to activate, and it's going to make the text invisible basically. So we're going to do 1024 pixels and add some curly brackets after that. And now we're going to go ahead and add our style in here. So let's set this to maybe 25 instead, so we can still see it on tablet. So there we go. So on tablet, and then on mobile it works, but whenever we go to desktop, it disappears, because that's where we're going to have our animation working. All right, so now that's all set. And let's go ahead and click update. And there we go. So I know that we have this issue, but don't worry, it's we're actually going to fix this, and I'll show you kind of a workaround on that there. And I know the text is still not gone yet, so let's see what's going on in here as well. So there we go. All right, now we'll fix this issue here later on. So now that's set. So now it's time to add our code. So let me just double check everything really quick. We forgot to add a class to our overlay zoom. So go into advanced on your overlay zoom, and then we're gonna go ahead and set this to overlay zoom, overlay dash zoom. Perfect. And then you know what? We also have to set a class to our content scroll as well. So, and this one is just called content dash scroll. All right, that's perfect. So now go ahead and click update. All right. Oh, we still have that issue, but don't worry, we're going to fix that later on. So now let's go into our dashboard here and let's add our code. So go into Elementor, go into custom code. Sorry, custom code. And let's add our new code here. And we're going to call this, what should we call this? Maybe cut out scroll background. Or no, you know what? Let's do overlay background scroll, something like that. That's fine. And maybe just add in the beginning we'll add GSAP to this. There we go. GSAP overlay background scroll. So now our location, let's set this to the body end, and let's go ahead and grab our code here that I have. So I'm going to go over this a bit here. So let me copy this and then paste it right in here. So there's a few things that I have to go over. Now I have gone over this in the past with one of my videos. I will link it up above because I'm not going to be going over this too much in this video, but I will be going over just some things. So just so then you guys know. So basically what we're doing is we want our animation to only work on the front end, which is basically outside of our dashboard, outside of our Elementor editor. We don't want it to run within our Elementor editor just because it tends to lag our Elementor editor. So I don't want the animation to run on there, only on the front end. So, and then also what we want to do as well is we only want this to work with any screen above 1024. So basically only desktop. And we can actually do, you know what, let's do 1025 instead, just so then that works properly and we don't have any glitches there. Okay, so I'm just gonna double check everything because we did add our content scroll. Now remember, our trigger is our content scroll right now, so it's gonna activate over here on our content scroll, but we might need to adjust our start as well. So, and we're going to add markers. So basically we're going to know when it's going to start. We'll remove the markers later on because that's not something that you want to have. And then we have our timeline here because it is set to a timeline, and that's what we're going to be using there. And then we have a scrub of true because we want it to work with our scroll bar. And then obviously we have a pin because we want it pinned until the timeline is over, until the scroll animation is over. So now I'm going to go ahead and actually refresh this. So I think I have this set to the home page. So okay. So let's go back into our code here, and we just need to go ahead and set it to the right page. So now that that's all done, let's click publish. And let's set this to only the home page for now. If you did have a specific page, then you can just go into pages and then set your page. That's what I usually do. I don't want to have the code run on every single page because it could, potentially slow it down. So let's just go into front page only and click save. There we go. So now let's click update. And as you can tell, we have the scrolling effect, right? But there are some issues as our scroll animation here. What is it called actually? What do we call it? We called it our overlay scroll section is clearly under our header. Now, honestly, I kind of don't want that. But it really depends on what type of header that you have. If you have a transparent header that goes with your background, then that's perfect. But regardless, we just need to set up our Z index for our overlay zoom section. So click on your overlay zoom section and then set your Z index to 99. That's just so then we can make sure that it's always gonna be on top. And then go ahead and refresh this. Wait, am I on the right one? Yeah, well, it's fine anyway. There we go. So, but as you can tell, we are having some issues because it doesn't start right away, right? So what I usually like to do is I remove this WordPress bar here really quick. And then now you can see that it starts a lot sooner. So, and we do have the spacing. So what you want to do is actually look at this in incognito, or basically whenever you're logged out of WordPress, just so that we don't have those issues. So I'm going to go into incognito and then just look at my site and fix any bugs that I may have, because there does tend to be sometimes bugs. So let's go ahead and test this out. And as you can tell, it works pretty good. Now, I like to have these markers just so that I know when this timeline is going to end. I'm going to show you how to remove them right now. But basically what we're saying is the scroll start is all the, I know you can't see it right now because I have this set to 99, but if I actually go ahead and edit my code here and, or you know what, it's on the editor here. So if I remove this, and then I probably could have made a Z index for my markers, but I'm actually not sure about that. So let me go back into incognito. I know that it's kind of going to bring up our header above it, but it's fine, just so then I can show you guys how that works. I feel like it is very important. So basically we can see that it's going to start right above here, right after it passes our scroll start. See that? It will start. See that little line? You can kind of see it. After it passes that, it's going to start after I scroll down. There we go. So that's where we're having it start. So I just wanted to show you guys that there. Now, if you for some reason wanted to start this over here, you would actually have to bring this down a bit. And basically, as you can tell, this one is set to my section anyway. That marker from the start. If I've gone over it in my video, in one of my videos before, so I'll try to link it above here. So as you can tell, we're doing 105 pixels above my section. So I want this to start at 105 pixels above my section, and it's right here. So if I wanted to just maybe set this to just 0 pixels, but honestly, you would just set it to top. So basically, it's at the top of my section here. So if I go in here and I refresh this, you'll see now that it's set to my section here, and I have to scroll a little bit further down for it to start, but it doesn't look that well because obviously I have my header here and I would like to start it as soon as people start to scroll. So that's why we're not going to do that. So I'm going to set this back to how it was. So I believe it was 105 pixels, negative 105 pixels from the top. And there we go. All right, so now that's all set up except for our header. So let's go ahead and make that 99. So it's always above pretty much everything. Now this would probably work best is if your header, let me refresh this again. What did I do here? What did I do here? All right, so the reason it wasn't working is just very simple. I ended up adding my section here to the top. And I should have added it to the bottom. So, and then let's go ahead and set this up to 99. And then click update. And now let's go ahead and actually refresh this. And it should be back to normal. There we go. So as you can tell, whenever we scroll, we have this working properly. Perfect. And there we have it. So no issues. Now it is a little bit laggy, but it is GSAP and we are running this animation. So, it tends to happen. So before I go ahead and end this video, just a few things that I want to do is I want to make sure that it's mobile responsive. So let's go back into our editor here. and click on your overlaid zoom and make sure that your responsiveness, just make sure that you have your tablet set to hide and your mobile set to hide. That is very important that we do set that up. Now let's go ahead and check this out. So now if we were to zoom, it works good. Let's go into inspect. Now we will notice that it won't work right away. So what we'll have to do here is, you notice that it's acting really funny. Well, it's because we just need to refresh it. For some reason, it doesn't work dynamically where it just fixes itself. You have to refresh it actually. So that's kind of why it does that. So now if we go back, you see that we have it working, but we probably just need to refresh it. There we go. So that's kind of why. And then let's refresh this so then it'll work how it's supposed to. Now let's go into our editor here and let's do one last thing. We're going to remove our markers because we don't want our markers there. So just remove that and then click update. And we are all set. Well, just be careful. This is experimental, so you might have some glitches here and there. I'll try to maybe perfect it a little more as we go. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you guys have any questions, just feel free to comment down below. I'll definitely try to help you guys out. Now, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like it for the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Now, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.